And as you feel yourself in this time and place, I want you to tell me the very first impressions that you have as you begin to understand where you are and what is happening around you.
I'm in a cave, but it's more like, it's more earth than rock where I am right now. It looks like it's like something that would have been dug out in the earth more than a natural, this space I'm in right now looks like it would have been more dug out of earth than, doesn't look like a natural cave. And there is a Terra being here with me. She's female. And this is where she sleeps. And she is willing to connect and talk to us. She has welcomed me into this space of hers to let me see it and describe it. It's very simple. There's really not much in here. There's a where she sleeps, a bed of evergreen boughs, so just fronds from a very, very soft evergreen tree, and it's quite thick. It's about a foot or a little more, a foot and a half thick of piled soft evergreen fronds or boughs. And it smells nice. She's saying she just gathered them in preparation for, I guess, me being here and seeing it. She gathered these, and yeah, it smells really nice. And that's really all that's in this space. I don't think she could even stand fully up. It's not very tall in here. It's like a little niche. It's probably maybe 5 foot tall. It's right above my head, so it would be a little over 5 feet in here.
I am so grateful that we are welcomed in this way. And I would really love to connect with her and talk to her directly. Before we do that, I would like for you, if you could describe for us how she looks like.
Yes, she's beautiful. She's much lighter colored hair than the ones I've seen before. It's very blonde. It's not white, but it's like a medium blonde color of hair. And she has the skin of her face and hands is darker than the hair color. So it's more of a cocoa color on her face and on her hands. And the rest of her body is covered in quite long hair. It's probably at least 3 inches long. And this beautiful golden blonde color. Her head on top is not as pointed as some I've seen. It's a little bit more rounded. And she has very prominent eyebrows. She has a very delicate nose and a wide mouth, very full lips, all of them covered with this beautiful cocoa color of skin. And I don't see her ears. She has them. They're underneath the hair. Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for this detailed description. Would she be willing to speak through you in order for us to communicate with her directly?
Yes. We are already talking to. She doesn't speak with words, so she's already in my mind, so to speak. Yes, so it'll be an easy transition for her to speak. she's starting to speak now. It will be an easy transition to speak telepathically through this human.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So I would like to welcome you in our space, and I want to thank you once again for making yourself available for us, for having this communication.
You are very welcome. Thank you for being curious enough to ask questions of my species. I appreciate your interest, renewed interest in this time. Please understand that the concepts I understand and communicate are simple, perhaps, compared to the complexities of humankind.
I think that shouldn't be a problem because my mind is very childlike as well. So I think we're probably going to have a nice, smooth discussion.
I very much enjoy the children of humankind. They are delightful. Thank you.
Do you also have children of your own?
I do not.
But as a species, do you procreate?
Yes, we do.
Mm.
Less than humans,
Mm-hmm.
for our lifespans are much longer than humans. But yes, we do procreate, have offspring, and have our sweet, sweet children.
Mm-hmm.
Childhood lasts much longer than yours.
That sounds like fun. And could you specify the lifespan of your species compared to us humans?
Average would be 3,000 years.
Okay. So I didn't ask you your name if you have one. How may I call you?
You are kind, and we do not have names as you think of them. Our energy signatures are so unique to us. They include recognitions like smells and specific sounds, and that is how we identify each other, not names as you do. I would be honored to have a name in the human language, and so if you would like to assign me a name, you may do so.
Okay. I think we don't have. I will just go with your energy, which is already very, very heartwarming and beautiful. May I ask you a few questions about you and your species and your group?
Yes.
Okay, so I have some very curious questions. My first question is, as we are connecting right now, are you located on Earth?
Yes, we are on this planet. We, however, spend less time on the surface of it now than we did in the old days. At these times, we are more inside of the planet, although we take turns coming to spend periods of close to and on the surface, for we enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. And why is that? Why are you now choosing to spend more time under the Earth?
Too many people, too much risk to our kind, many risks to our kind if we were to be seen or captured by humanity. We understand the curiosity of humans for our species. However, we do not wish to be studied or dissected or known because being known too much would be of greater risk to our way of life and our way of being. Also, it perhaps could incite fear in humans, some of the humans, for all of them to know beyond a doubt that we exist, for we are large and we are of great strength, and yet we are different in our ideas, our ways of being, are a bit more of the animal nature than what humanity is at this time. And this could incite fear in those who do not trust the animal kingdoms.
Yeah, certainly. I have a question regarding your size before I go into some other questions. So, could you specify approximately the size of your adult beings?
We range from approximately 6 foot to approximately 10, with a few going larger and a few going smaller. That is our specific species that I am part of. There are, as you would understand it, various types of our species that live in different areas of the world, look slightly different from each other, and are of different sizes.
I see. And oh my god, I have so many questions. Okay, I'll take them one by one. So, are you living in big groups or small groups?
Generally small groups. However, my group gathers with other groups once in a while for celebration and for to be together and to see relatives or friends that have gone to live in different areas. And so we live. There are approximately 30 beings in my small group, and it is common for there to be 20 to 50 beings in the smaller groups of everyday living. And then at times we travel to join with other groups, and there would be perhaps up to a few thousand of us. However, this does not happen often. This is a rare occurrence of every, you might say 5 to 10 years that we have a larger gathering such as this.
Yeah, because I guess traveling for you is also, it involves risk, right?
It can. We travel inside the earth.
I see. So in caverns, in underground tunnels?
Yes, it is of great distance, and the availability of sustenance, of food, is the largest concern.
And these caverns, do you excavate them yourselves, or they are pre-existing?
Some of each, yes. We have spent many thousands of years creating the living spaces that we needed once we stopped living on the surface primarily. We also utilize great and beautiful cavern systems that already existed. However, we create the spaces we want because they can be closer to the surface and closer to water sources and food sources on the surface. And the natural caverns are not always situated in a way that best serves us in this way. This is why we have created our own spaces.
Understood. And I wonder what is your diet based on?
Plants and small animals. We eat 80% plant diet to include roots, nuts, berries, fibers. On occasion, certain parts of certain trees and bushes. And small animals that also live inside the earth in small amounts.
I've heard that you like rabbits. Is this true?
We do.
And chicken, like small birds?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you communicate with each other?
With our minds, such as we are communicating now through this human.
Okay.
With our minds. We make plenty of noises. We have the ability to mimic sounds.
Mm-hmm.
We simply do not have the evolved or advanced spoken language because we have not needed it. The only times we have used spoken language has been when interacting or living amongst humans. That was long ago.
Could you tell us more about that time?
Yes, it was long ago before my time. I have been told the stories of when our races lived in harmony. It was in the understanding of this human mind before the Atlantis flooding, before the time when the world was rearranged.
Mm-hmm.
There were times after that also when a few of us lived amongst humans. It was not as common after the event, whereas before the event it was quite common. We coexisted happily and we served each other's needs. I enjoy the stories of these times, for it seems so foreign to those of us alive now to be able to communicate and be amongst humans, because we feel such a great separation.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. What made you withdraw yourselves from the humans?
The humans began to fear us more and more. The humans, after the event, the humans trusted animals less and less. All of the animal kingdom began to separate more and more with the humanity species. And because we were classed more with animals than with humans, we were included in that separation. There grew gradually over time more and more fear of us because of our size because of our different way of thinking than humanity's. Humanity wanted to gain power over each other, and we do not do this. That was part of the separation of ideology and how we wanted to live and how humans wanted to live. They feared our strength.
Your physical strength, you mean?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So as humanity fall in consciousness, they disconnected from the nature beings.
Yes. Yes.
Are you connected to other elementals?
Yes. We are.
Would you like to talk to us about it? Which ones and what's your relationship with them?
We connect to what you would call the plant guardian kingdom, which includes elves, fairies, gnomes, guardians of the forests and the waters and the wild spaces. They appear to us not as physical, but as what would be a holographic picture. We see them with our eyes, and yet we cannot touch them like we would touch each other. We hear them. We communicate telepathically with them. We can hear the noises and sounds that, however, we connect to the animal kingdoms at the higher levels, what you would understand as the higher consciousness of each part of the animal kingdom. We are in communication with them when we need to be. We connect to the mythical, what you see as mythical creatures, we think of as creatures of old, creatures that used to roam this planet freely and now are in separated dimensions, such as the unicorns and the dragons that you are so familiar with. We connect to off-planet species and communicate with them the most, more than with any other species, for they are monitoring closely and they ask us many questions. We are their eyes and ears, so to speak, in some ways. We are able to take the energetic temperature, you might say, in the different places and regions of the planet where we live. And so the off-planet species, as well as the higher evolved inter-planet species, both of them connect to us for information having to do with what is happening on the surface of the planet, with you all.
When you say off-planet species, are there any of the ones that we are familiar with?
Oh yes, probably all of the ones you are familiar with. There are many, many who connect to us and communicate with us.
Mm-hmm.
It is, an analogy would be, it is as if they call us on the phone. They connect to us energetically and, of course, telepathically, just as you connect to each other on your telephone devices and your computer devices. They connect with us frequently, and many, many different beings and collectives connect with us.
I see. Do you have, I wonder if your genome, your genetic code, your DNA is also from other planets?
Yes, we come via the Mars planet many, many eons ago. We were one of the species on that planet. We share many genetics with humanity. We were thought to have been a good companion race to be on this planet with humanity. And indeed, we were good companions for many, many periods of time on this planet. It is only quite recently that we are not companions, and we will be again.
I truly hope so. Could you talk to us about your relation, if there is any, with the giants, and specifically the North American groups?
Yes, in the time before the large event that rearranged the North American continent as well as some other continents, what is thought of as the Atlantis deluge. In the time before that event, all lived freely together. The larger races of humanity, the giants that you speak of, and all of the variants of my species, and the variants of the human races of the smaller sizes. You understand there were smaller than you humans. There were the same size as you humans, and there were the larger humans, the giants. There were also my species. There were many, many, many more species of animals. All lived and coexisted in a circle of life upon the surface. After the Atlantis event happened, then things began to fall apart or become separated gradually over time, more and more separate, more and more separate. And the driver of this was humanity. Please understand, this is not fault or blame. This is simply a journey humanity wanted and needed to take at that time, and it created separation from the other kingdoms because the other kingdoms did not want to take that journey. And so my species and the giant race began to grow less in numbers for a period of time until the giant race disappeared for the most part. There are still some giant races that live inside of this planet. On the surface, there are none. My race still interacts with them in small amounts. We communicate, but not like when we both lived on the surface of the planet. Now the remaining giant race that lives inside of the planet lives far away from us inside of the planet, physically speaking. And so we are no longer cohabitating as we once did.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask you also about your connection with Gaia. What could you share with us about it?
with this beautiful planet being, you are asking?
Yeah, specifically with the essence of Gaia.
Yes, it is a beautiful energy that we live inside of, that moves around and in all things. It is similar to the concept of God or source that we see inside the human mind. This spirit of this planet nurtures us, protects us, communicates with us, helps us evolve, and is in and through all things, much as you would think of source being in and through all things. We commune with this spirit of this planet. We learn from the spirit of this planet. We learn about the cosmos. We learn about so-called history inside of the timelines. She shows us possibilities and probabilities, things that happen across what you understand as timelines. And it is interesting to us, for our existence alone could be considered mundane, and yet because of our communion with this planet, it is never mundane. It is always entertaining and interesting and more to learn. She shares sometimes, if we are very lucky, she shares her hopes and dreams of what she is becoming.
Would you like to share some of those with us? Would it be appropriate?
She shares a time with us of great beauty. One moment while the human controls emotion. She shares a time of great beauty when all will be together again in their evolved state. You understand, all were together as children, so to speak, and there is a time coming when all will be together as grown-ups, or in a greater spectrum of love and understanding and ability. All will cohabitate again, and even more, all will be creating and becoming a world that has not yet existed in the past. So, a time when the planet and all the kingdoms that she hosts will work together to create the world that was originally planned, hoped for, and foreseen by the creator beings. It is a beautiful time. It is difficult for the human mind to imagine, because there are so many more beings here than most of humanity knows or understands at this time. It is as if an analogy would be if all the nations of the world united and came together and pooled their resources and their knowledge and their visions to create. That is an analogy for what is coming only for many, many species of beings, more than just the nations of humanity. There is a time also coming when the cosmos will again be united with this planet. There are already connections, but so much consciousness on this planet is not aware of the cosmic connections or the possibility of them or the possibility of what could be accomplished because of universal or cosmic connections. That there is a time coming that Earth looks forward to, anticipates greatly. The beautiful spirit of this planet is excited for this time, perhaps above all else, to be reunited with the spirits of her brothers and sisters, the spirits of other planets, via the beings from them that will come and visit. You understand the concept I am speaking of.
Absolutely, and it's one of my absolute dreams.
Mm.
How do you and your species see the current transition that we are going through as a collective on Earth?
It is a lot of energies. It is a greater strength of energies and therefore a greater strength of chaos. We feel it as somewhat unpleasant because it is a becoming that we do not, we understand, but it is a becoming that we have not participated in because our consciousness did not, as you say, fall as humanity's did. And so there is not such a rapid transformation needed for us as there is for humanity. There are so many things happening at the same time, it seems to us, that it is just a great strength of energies and a great chaos of energies for us. And so we busy our minds and our actions with other things, such as increased communication of inner planet and off planet beings. We wish to support humanity's becoming, and yet we do not have a effective way to do that other than the love we hold for humanity. We do not have an active piece in assisting humanity yet.
What is your mission on this planet? What is your purpose of being here?
To support the planet and to support all the kingdoms that inhabit this planet. We, at different times in the history of this planet, have stepped in to cultivate her, to be keepers of various habitats or even kingdoms. We are, you could say, backup keepers of the planet. That is primarily the mission or the purpose of humanity. However, at various times when humanity has been unable to fulfill their mission, or Earth has greater needs that fulfill, we are the backup. As well, our collective of consciousness somewhat adopted this planet when the planet or planets we came from were destroyed or no longer viable. This is our adopted home for now.
At which point in the time of the history of Earth did you first come here?
It would be approximately 300,000 of your years ago that we came in mass. Some of us had come earlier. The bulk of us, approximately 300,000 of your years.
Were there humans inhabiting a planet or Earth at that time?
Only very, very early trials of them. Very early versions. This was the time when humanity was being created as a project by various star races. Some species, they set out to create a species on this planet that could evolve more than all the other species. Something that would be indigenous or native to this planet.
Through the ages, through all this time that you have been here on this planet, were there any particular groups of people that you connected more?
Yes, I am recalling the stories told to me. There is another of my race here, a male, much older than I am. Would you like to speak with him?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. This is Donna, and so there's this little niche of this beautiful female being that I'm in is kind of goes off of, it's like a side room of a much larger space, and there's the rest of her group is in this larger space, and I've been aware of them. They have not been in my field of vision, but I've been aware of them being there. And so there's a male that's kind of their leader. He's kind of like a grandfather type of a, more than authority. He's just an old, wise, very wise being that they treat as a grandfather, a wise elder in their midst. And so he's ready to connect. He looks, he's much bigger. He's pretty large. I would say he's got to be close to 10 foot. He's really big. I don't know if I've seen one this big before. And he is darker brown in color. His hair is a bit shorter than hers and a bit sparser. Not quite as thick as hers was. I don't know if this is due to age or what. But it's a darker brown, like, not black, but not light either. And then he's got the skin on his face looks almost a little ashy, like almost a little more gray than hers did. And he's got really big eyes. And his nose is broader and larger than hers, and his mouth is about the same. He has a taller head. He's bigger overall, but his head is above his eyes. It's taller than hers was. And yeah, he's sitting here patiently waiting, just watching me as I describe him. He's a very calm being. They all are calm, but he's like deep, deep water. I will connect with him now. Hello? Hello, yes. This is the being you wish to speak with.
Thank you very much for coming forth. It is a great honor to connect with you.
Thank you. We too feel the honor to connect with all of you, for it has been much, much too long since we have been connected to the beautiful species that is humanity. We thank you too.
So if I am understanding correctly, you are older than the being that we were talking to earlier. You hold more knowledge of the history of your species.
Yes, I am pushing a good 4,000 years here. I am old, old, old in our terms. And yet I wanted to stay a bit longer, for there is much happening. And I had hoped to witness many unusual things, and I have. However, also, it has broken my heart, you would say, in some ways. Some of these things I have seen and witnessed has been great heartache, but no matter, there has been greater joy in seeing the journeys of all the species, all the kingdoms that exist on this planet. Yes, I hold much of the wisdom stories, the history, the knowledge of my species.
So do I have permission to ask you just a few questions?
Yes,
Okay.
certainly.
Thank you. So I was looking for some information regarding the connection between your species and us, and I was asking if throughout the time you were connected with some groups of us more intimately than others.
Yes, and so we connected with what you would consider the giant race, the human species that is larger in stature. We connected with them in procreation the most. And then for a short period, there was some experimenting with procreation with humans, for we foresaw, the planet helped us foresee what was coming, the separation coming, and we thought perhaps we could prevent such a great chasm, such a great span of separation between our species. And so there was some, you might say, procreation projects that ensued, because we also foresaw that the giant race would be missing from the surface. So first we attempted the procreation with giants, and once we gained the information, the knowledge that they would not be here in this time, we procreated with humanity as an attempt to prevent such a total separation that, as you know, was not successful. Historically speaking, there have been many periods where we have lived apart from humanity simply because the planet was so vast that we had all of our areas and humanity had their areas, and there was no reason to interact much. And then, as the planet became more and more populated with humans, we lived together in great harmony in many areas of the planet. We were an accepted part of this realm, just as we accepted humanity as part of this realm, for we understood the vision of the great spirit of this planet. Humanity in this current time does not have that connection, so they do not understand the great vision and the hopes and the dreams of this planet. And so it is to be expected that they are not in harmony with it.
Would you like to share with us and all the people who are listening to us, if you could be a spokesman for your species and share with us your perspective on this shift that humanity is going through, this shift in consciousness, and anything that you want to share on this transition that we are in?
Yes, I thank you for this invitation. This that we are all living in, and even more so, you particularly are living in the midst of this great maelstrom of events, is quite simply the greatest story ever told. I have heard this story from the spirit of earth before it happened. I have asked her to tell me this story many times, for it is quite simply the greatest story ever told. And now you are living it.
How is that possible? I'm curious.
It is at once a great risk for all involved, a great adventure for all involved, and spiritually or energetically speaking, if you could see it from that perspective, it is such a multifaceted story. It is as if there are millions of storylines going on all at once. And the points where those storylines interconnect and touch and then part ways again, and yet they all come together in the end. They all have a beautiful ending. And how can that be? How can that be? Well, this is why it is the greatest story ever told. This is why it is so vastly entertaining and interesting, is simply because of all the individual stories being told, all the individual transformations, all the individuals who give up, all the individuals who keep on no matter how hard it gets, all the individuals who triumph, all the individuals who find a better way to live, who make their story, create their story as they go, all the individuals who live out whatever's presented to them and how does that go for them, as well as the collectives that you all have separated yourselves into, the nations, the people groups. How do those stories go for each other and with each other? It is a great intertwining of the greatest stories ever told. It is almost endless from the perspective that Earth can tell it. We have been entertained, but more than that, we have been inspired by this beautiful story of a million stories that is being lived right now. For our species has not chosen the path that your species has. And yet we applaud you, we encourage you, we love you for the bravery, the courage, the risks that you all take again and again and again. We have a difficult time imagining taking on the risks that you all do with such wild abandon. You are brave creatures, indeed.
The current situation that we find ourselves in is not for the light-hearted, which is an expression, but as I said it, I just realized that this is exactly perhaps what we need, to have our hearts light.
Yes, it is an interesting thing to need to be so courageous and yet have light hearts. We enjoy these interaction with you today because we get to gain a rare perspective with you, the beings that are living these stories. We would enjoy much more of this, these connections, just to understand more fully what it is like for you to live through what you are living now. From our perspective, it is perhaps moving faster than it is from your perspective. But this is one of the many questions we don't fully understand.
Yeah, absolutely. So, would it be possible that we connect again in the future?
Yes, certainly. We
Okay.
have enjoyed this interaction very much. We have enjoyed feeling the connection with our dear humanity brothers and sisters again. You acted as, you could say, younger brothers and sisters to us when we were very connected, and we have missed our younger brothers and sisters very, very much.
I feel what you're saying very deep inside my heart, and I I also feel you and every living creature as siblings, brothers and sisters.
Yes, this is a appropriate relationship. Yes.
Yeah. Do you have perhaps a closing message for us today? Something you would like to share?
Yes. Yes, I have an idea. I have an idea of how we might begin to assist humanity some in this time, and that is through helping you develop your telepathy. For we taught it to you before. Long, long ago, we taught you telepathy as a way of communication. And now we can teach it to you again, should you so desire. We can support the return of these concepts and methods and abilities to humanity, if that would be of service. For we can foresee that in this shift, Earth is showing us that this is but one of the many abilities humanity will pick up again and begin to use. We would be happy to be of service in this small way.
This is exciting. I would love to be taught by you. How could that be possible?
You ask to connect to me or to one of the beings of my species, for we are all masters. This is our native language, telepathy. So you simply ask to connect to one of us, and once you hear or feel or see or know the connection is made, you simply commence communicating with us. The communication will be at different levels according to the permissions you give us for being in your mind, you might say. So, this being on the bed here, Donna, has given us full permission in her communications to be fully in her mind so that we can communicate fully. We have access to what she understands, to the words she uses, to how she experiences things. Therefore, we can communicate very fully with her. However, we understand some humans will not want to give us full access, and this is well and good and fine. You understand the level of telepathic communication is as broad as the level of access given to us.
Okay, I will definitely do so.
We will anticipate this greatly, for you are, we see, an old and wise being yourself.
Thank you very much for your service, for your presence, and for your willingness to connect with us today. I'm truly honored, humbled, and grateful for you being here with us today.
You are most welcome in every meaning of the word. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Donna. I just wanted to say before I leave this awesome space, this kind of cave-like, there's some natural light shining into this big area, so there's an opening to the surface somewhere here. But they're all they're so beautiful. They're all different colors of hair, different shades, kind of like our hair is different shades and different colors, you know. And they all bowed when you were thanking them, because they saw in my mind that bowing to each other is a great sign of respect, you know, and like kind of like humility or whatever, you know. So they all together, because everybody was here in this big space listening in basically to their grandfather leader, you know, talking to you. And so they just all bowed. It was all so cool.